There we go. The April 1st, 2025 meeting of the City Council is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Redpath, can you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Alderman Cox.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford.
Here.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Netriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer. Here. Mayor Busher.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Clerk. The civility pledge. In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective. We do have one proclamation this evening, so I'm going to ask if Alderman Gregory will meet me at the podium, please. Thank you, Alderman. We've got certificates. We could do each player as well. Okay. All right. Okay. So if I could ask the Springfield Lincoln Magnet Ball Charter 7th grade boys basketball team to kind of fill in behind the alderman and I, if you would, please, and your coaches as well. Yeah. All right. Come on up, Alderman. All right. So we have a proclamation this evening for the Springfield Lincoln Magnet Ball Charter 7th grade boys basketball team. They achieved an extraordinary feat by completing an undefeated season with a record of 30-0, marking a historic milestone for their program. And the team demonstrated remarkable dominance throughout the season, winning 29 games by 20 points or more. And never, let's stress never, trailing in a game until the state championship. Yes. I know. Whereas this outstanding group of athletes showcased skill, teamwork, and perseverance, demonstrating the highest ideals of sportsmanship and dedication under the leadership of their coaches and support staff. The championship roster includes, and when I say your name, if you could raise your hand so the crowd knows who you are, that would be great. Peyton Hunter, Pierre Hunter, Daytoni Joyner, Terrius Coleman, Bryant Kittrell, Carmelo Stevenson, Jaden Kelly, Ben Barham, Ryder Seidner, Sean Brown, Marcus Johnson, DeAvion Stevens, Legacy Beck, and team manager Carter Hunter, whose contributions were invaluable to this team's success. The coaching staff played a crucial role in guiding and developing these young athletes, supporting a spirit of teamwork, discipline, and excellence throughout the season. The City of Springfield recognizes your dedication, your perseverance, and your resilience by displaying, as young athletes, you have brought pride to your school and your city, and also to your families as well. Therefore, I, want to say your name.
Alderman Sean Gregory.
And Alderman Gregory, with the rest of the City Council, do hereby recognize that April 1st, 2025 is a day in recognition of the Lincoln Magnet Ball Charter 7th grade boys basketball team. Okay, I'll let you say a few words, Coach.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Andre Williams. I'm the head coach of the Lincoln Magnet 7th grade team. My son, Andre Williams Jr., is my assistant. I just want to say, first of all, thank you, Mayor, and Alderman Gregory and the rest of the alderwomen for having us. This was a special group. They were extremely coachable, and that was the biggest thing. We weren't the biggest team. We were probably never the biggest team on the court. But they bought in, they worked hard, they listened, they're great kids, and as a result, they always gave me everything they had. This is the first 4A state championship for Lincoln Magnet. So it's extremely special for them. It's extremely special for me. Another thing that's special about it is I coached a while ago, maybe about 10 years, and I won a state championship with Jefferson. My son was my starting point guard there. So now my second state championship, he's my assistant coach. So I think it's him. I think he's the good luck charm. So, I just want to say thank you again. This is an amazing bunch. If you all get a chance to check them out next year, please do so. They're already, after we won the state championship, we were getting some food on the way back home at Wendy's, and they were like, Coach, we're ready to get started for the next one. So they're eager. So they've got the right attitude. They're going to give me everything they have. So I would encourage you all to check out Lincoln Magnet Ball Charter. Check out all the city schools. For sure. There's some great basketball. There's some great teams here in the city. So just again, thank you. Thank you. Look forward to seeing some of you at some games next year. And again, thanks again, Mayor, for having us.
I just say congrats. You know, it's a lot going on in the world, and but to see a father and son who I know all my life do fantastic things with this team. As you said, this is your second state championship, and I imagine that's your grandson, right? So and to these young players, I'm gonna turn this thing all around. Stay coachable. Stay coachable. Listen to good men in your life who's trying to lead you through. All right, because as you get older, you get a little hair in your face, you get some independence. But stay coachable. You do that for me, and you'll stay winning. Stay coachable, you'll stay winning. Thank you.
We're going to give each of these wonderful players who are going to play again next year for Coach in their 8th grade year, I think, a certificate, but then the families can come up and take photos too. So I want you to feel welcome to come up and take photos, okay? You're welcome. Peyton Hunter. Congratulations. And take pictures now. Do the aldermen want to stand on the stairs here? You want to begin it, and I'll get it with you guys. Oh, hold on. You go get it with me. They're clearing something.
Wait here. I just want to turn this podium around real quick.
Great. Everybody's doing great. This is fun stuff.
Not the seven.
All right, y'all. I guess I'm not watching the game tonight.
How are you? Good. Ashley.
Oh my
Yes,
God!
yes. I was going to say it's been a long time. How are you? Do you have we are in the beginning basketball. We have like a couple of habits right now. To get it up. I was gonna say, take down my number and text me.
Well, I'm in.
What's that? 7140. Yeah. Let me know like, your address. We can come take a look at it.
I feel like I talked to you today.
Here, well, I'm in. You know what?
We're over on the Kipling cul-de-sac. And it's perfect because it goes out there, but now we need a new one because it's just been, you know,
Run over and look at it, and then here.
I can talk on the microphone.
Mama, congratulations.
Yeah.
Hey.
Awesome. Oh, got your nose.
That's 2 in Ward 2 state title.
My bad.
I went to Washington. No, that's middle. Grade, like elementary.
I went to Washington, then I went to fight you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yo.
I bet.
Town, there they There they go, yeah. Okay.
Thank you. I'll hold you to it.
It's right there. Baby runs all of
Good, dog? Good, man. How you doing? I'm all right, man.
Ready?
All right.
Okay.
Stay coach.
The chair will now entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 regular city council meeting and approve the minutes.
So moved, Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this council meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda into the record of this council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. The chair will entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the final passage of the consent agenda? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. There are no items currently remained tabled or in committee, so we will move on to the debate agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to withdraw agenda item number 2025-127, an ordinance approving the appointment of Wade Kamen to the Springfield Urban Forestry Commission.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please, voting will now, be open. Are you okay, clerk? Yep, okay. I didn't see it switch on my screen. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
To withdraw?
To withdraw, correct.
Mine's not. Come on.
You're stuck?
There it goes.
And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. The chair will now entertain a motion to remove agenda item 2025-126 from the debate agenda for action by the City Council. This is an ordinance approving the appointment of Stephen M. Simpson Black to the Urban Forestry Commission.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none then, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. Pardon me? Okay. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve agenda item number 2025-128 from the debate agenda, which is an ordinance approving the appointment of Susan J. Rimpfer to the Springfield Urban Forestry Commission.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Yes.
And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. That concludes the debate agenda as far as I have. So from there, we would ask if there is any unfinished business to bring before the council from the members. Alderman Gregory.
Yes, Mayor. Beat you, Keisha. I just wanted to recognize a very special man, not only in my life, but this city, and his name is Joe A. Scott. And, him and his wife raised so many foster kids in this city, and responsible for just so many lives saved. And he passed last week, and I just when I watch all these young people come up and stuff, it just makes me think back, and I thank him for everything. And I just encourage everybody to not to be busy for your families, and make sure you go see your folks. And that's it.
So I will ask for a moment of silence for
Please.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alderman Gregory. Alderwoman Purchase?
Thank you, Sean. We will continue to keep our prayers with you because we know he was very, very close to you too as well. So we send our condolences and we're here for you. Corporation Counsel Mordot. Can we have a update on what's going on with the Wyndham Hotel? I know that there's a lot taking place right now with an investigation, but I've had several organizations reach out to me. As you know, I'm a member of a Greek organization. We have Alpha's Day coming up at the state capitol. There's people coming from all over the state over the next 2 months, and people are in limbo of where they're supposed to go. The first thing I did say to them was that I know you all and Director Scott Dahl has a contingency plan in place to help get them to other places, but trying to keep them within downtown to get to the Capitol and back. But I think it would just be good to let everybody know kind of what's going on.
Director Dahl, are you here as well? Okay, I know you asked Greg, I'll let Greg,
Yeah,
Director Murdoch
Anybody.
answer, then we'll let Director Dahl answer, how's that?
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, so as has been reported, there's an investigation going on, and I'm not going to get into the details of that, but we are trying to figure out what happened there, and then understanding that convention season is coming up and that we have a lot of concerned individuals. Director Dahl has put together a plan to address that issue, and then and make sure that that Springfield is still open and still operating. And if he wants to speak to the details, I know he's been working with this since we first heard of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me, the Visit Springfield staff been working hard since last Thursday with our groups. We've been working with the Springfield Hotel Lodging Association, obviously the Wyndham staff, on relocating and repositioning the conventions that either were overflow or were headquartered at the Wyndham Hotel. I will tell you that we're successfully moving these groups and relocating them, providing shuttle service when we need to, when their meetings are primarily at the BOS Center or downtown at the Doubletree. So, yeah, we have shifted. We are contacting the groups every single day, and so far so good. We're having very success relocating, shifting, pivoting to get these groups to stay in Springfield, not only just this year, but in future years as well. So we can provide more updates weekly as we need, but so far we've got all the groups handled and shifted over.
Thank you.
Anything else? Alderwoman
Go,
Perkins?
Scott.
Nope.
Yes, Scott.
Sorry, Scott,
Director
Alderman
Dow.
Williams.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
You're okay, Alderman.
I didn't mean to call you Scott.
Yep.
But that's your name. I wanted to, has anybody reached out to the owner of the Wyndham and talked directly to the owner from the city? So-
Multiple people have.
Our staff, yeah.
So you
Yeah.
guys are in communication. I'm asking it because, you know, back when the Wyndham had its share of other issues and we were dealing with things, the importance, it was really stressed the importance of the rooms and the impacts on the conventions and the different things that we're doing in this city. So I wanted to ensure, not only are we trying to relocate and keep our stuff going, but we actually are trying to work with him and help him in this situation in lieu of the investigation going on. Are we offering any of our services to help him get back on his feet and get going again?
Well, our team is communicating directly with the management
The
at
management,
the Wyndham.
okay,
Yes,
okay.
we haven't had any communication with the ownership. I'm leaving that up to Corporation Council and the mayor's office.
that's
The
Yeah.
ownership group has been in contact with both fire safety, public works, police department, and the chief of staff. So, yes,
Okay, I
multiple agencies.
I appreciate hearing that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Real quick.
Alderman Gregory, do you have something for Director Dawes?
Just, is there a ETA on when these things can be fixed?
So the Wyndham management came out with a statement today that it would be 3 months, so they're looking 3 months out. So we are looking at groups 90 days to 120 days. So any of the conventions, meetings, groups that land within that 90-day period, we have communicated to. We've asked them to reach out directly to the Wyndham first, and then reach back to us, which several have already done that. And then we will then relocate them to other facilities that match their meetings and their rooms that they need and require. So right now, the Wyndham management came out with 90 days.
And Mayor, I just wanted
Alderwoman Purchase, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to commend you too, Scott, because like I said, I know personally 4 groups that are staying and they're coming statewide, and they've already put deposits down. They were renting out the top floor. So they have definitely said that you all have been in contact with them, and just making sure we just let the community know that we are speaking and communicating with everyone.
Yeah, I tell you, our team at the Bureau, they're seasoned. We have over 200 years of tourism experience, and there's no panicking going on. They've been in similar situations before, and I tell you what, they're real pros, so hats off to the team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Alderwoman Purchase? Okay. Alderman Williams, did you have anything else?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of unfinished business. So now is there any new business to come before the council at this time? Alderwoman Notriano.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to share some information with the public and my colleagues. Alderwoman Purchase and I last night attended ICON's presentation of a program, a planning program that's being carried out by Sangamon County called Connect Sangamon County. And it's really exciting. It is, it's been going on for, well, it's wrapping up. Been going on since the middle of last year. But it is, basically they're developing an active transportation plan to help create communities with connected networks of sidewalks, streets, with bike facilities, and multi-use paths. So essentially trying to make Springfield and Sangamon County more friendly to pedestrians and folks who may have mobility constraints, and bicyclists, and other more vulnerable road users. So we heard a really informative presentation from a representative of Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley, and they are planning on having a meeting on May 8th at the county building, 200 South 9th Street, from 4 to 7, and that's essentially where they're going to share the results of their planning and also look for some feedback. So really exciting stuff going on, and I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of it. So
Thank you, Alderwoman.
thank you.
Is there any other new business to come before the council?
I just want to follow up on one thing.
I was looking at you, Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you. Mayor, could we ask our communications director to put some of that information out leading up to that week so that we can let the public know and they can come and give the feedback? Because they shared with us last night that that's the last meeting for them to get any concerns to add into the plan.
Okay.
And then if you don't mind, we were thinking that they could come, it's a short presentation, and they could come and show their presentation that they did too.
So Director Wilson does have the contact of the communications director there, so I'll have her reach out to him.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Alderman Gregory.
Yes, Mayor, this is a new topic. I just want to, thank Miss, I hope I'm saying her name right, Miss Russo from Public Works, who handles all of our packets that we give out for neighborhood cleanups. She really did a wonderful job. We had one, actually there was a few in our community over the weekend, and some of them brought out some very, very big equipment with claws on it, and really was able to get some big stuff, which helps our Public Works team out. And the question was asked to me if we could look into something like this to where maybe we can get some smaller contracts for people to go and help us out in this regard. So I thought I would bring this to the body just for us to think of, Dave, because people want to help and people want to get involved, and they have some fantastic tools to help us. So I'm definitely interested in how that works and us really empowering our community to sort of help us get it cleaned up, especially in some areas where we have some needs, some real needs. So thank you.
So you gave props to Christina LaRusso, and I'll make sure that she knows you did that.
see?
I will make sure she knows, Alderman. Yes, absolutely.
I
Alderwoman
just knew it
Purchase.
was
Thank you,
hard.
Mayor.
Yes, that's right.
I think me and Sean, we had some interesting things we picked up this past weekend in the rain. And just giving a shout out to both of our zoning managers. They came out on their own time, brought their trailers, and really went around with us to pick up items that we probably shouldn't have been picking up, but it would have been just sitting there for a while. And I think it's an education moment, but Director Fuchs, you always make it available for us to use a certain lot to put our items on, and it gets picked up that morning. Vinegar Hill wants to do the same thing, so I think I'm in agreement with Alderman Gregory. If we can kind of get on a little cycle for that, I know it's going to take some time to plan, but at least twice a year, I think it would be helpful, and every neighborhood association would be willing to do it.
We can have the director work with all the zone managers, and thank you for complimenting them. The zone managers have done an amazing job. I agree with you, Alderwoman.
I know I get on their nerves.
You're not on their nerves, I promise. Alderman Gregory, anything else?
No,
Okay.
thank you so much. Appreciate
Alderwoman
you.
Notriano.
Thank you, Mayor. Since y'all are sharing about your cleanup success, I would be remiss if I didn't announce to everybody, Ward 6 is having 2 cleanups that I know of. This Saturday morning, MacArthur Boulevard Association will be picking up along MacArthur from around Franklin School, and they usually go all the way to the park.
Nice.
And also Hawthorne Place Neighborhood Association is doing a pickup. So hopefully the word gets out to folks. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Yes. Any other new business? Seeing none, we will go to citizens who have signed up to address the council. The first person signed up to speak is Ebony Spruell. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name, Ebony. Is Ebony here? One last time, Ebony. The next person signed up to speak is Aaron Cahill. Aaron Cahill? No? The next person signed up to speak is Zachary Moore. Zachary Moore, are you here? Okay. The next person signed up to speak is Reggie Guyton.
Good evening, everyone. Happy first of the month. I am mostly here to speak as a regular citizen that has noticed a troubling trend happening within the quarters here. First and foremost, I do not believe that it is fair to silence your constituents that are raising very serious concerns. It is indicative of a behavior that is related to fascism, which is very alive and well to this day. It is indicative of a suppression that not only forces people to remain in bondage, in servitude, in poverty, but it forces them to make hard choices about how they divide up their energy. We're all working citizens. Every one of you are working citizens. You have day jobs, you have extra responsibilities, and we thank you for that. But in those responsibilities, you have to also remember that you represent us. And I can speak that way too, as a new official. I have to recognize that I have people that I represent, and I have to try and get to the bottom, find a way to communicate, find a way to analyze the issues, as well as get back to the people, if not directly, then indirectly by doing the work that needs to happen. Unfortunately, I feel that the work that is being done here is being overshadowed by the conduct, or honestly, the conduct that is variable. There's not consistency in this office. There's not consistency in these meetings, and that's a problem. It causes y'all to lose credibility as a whole. And as I don't think that that's right for the government that represents our city to be inept, disagreeable. I mean, we can all disagree about certain things. I could say I like red and you like blue. That's fine. We may never agree on which color is best, but at the same time, there are certain core rights, certain core principles that should always be upheld and should never be questioned. I understand that we want a certain level of decorum in this place. I understand that we want people to watch their time, but y'all telling people that they're not handling things the right way, that they're not doing things with civility, when the rules change week to week to week, as evidenced by the replayable moments on the live stream, is upsetting, it's deplorable, and it has to stop, truly. I would really, really love to see some more accessibility measures added to these meetings, whether that is adding a certified sign language interpreter, American Sign Language, or making sure that the AI captions are actually accurate. Unfortunately, because there are also other choices being made as to making sure that there are no distractions or that people can be seen, I think you're missing a core part of the humanity of communication. People rely on lip reading, people rely on facial expressions, people want to see people's eyes, they want to see all of these things so they know that the message is getting across, and they can also discern and translate what's happening in real time. And again, I'm only saying this because I feel as though there is a complete oversight as to who gets to get the information, who gets to reply to the information, and who decides what information is relevant for people to know. And with that, I'll leave it at that. Thank you all so much for your time, and I look forward to increased measures. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Guyton, Alderman Gregory has signed up to speak, sorry.
I'm sorry?
Alderman Gregory has signed up to speak. I
Reggie,
think
thank
he
you
might.
for coming. Thank you for coming and sharing that information. So I'm curious. I know congratulations on the board. I think I told you that before.
Thank you, Mitch.
So I'm curious, at the county, how do they do this? Public comment? Is it live streamed?
It is, I think they're working on that. They're doing a test run. We did a test run last week. And that still is something that I'm impressioning on them as well. Wow. It is not something that is consistent and varies. But traditionally, the reason why it varies is because the people who are leading the conversation, who are administrators of this conversation, pick and choose, whether that's out of sympathy or empathy or whatever. I'm not going to say it's negligence. I'm not going to say it's, ignorance. But the problem is that there's no consistency.
So far, have you seen anything that they do that maybe we could implement here at City Council?
I have critiques, but I would much rather talk in person with people off camera, so we're not wasting everybody's time. But again, I can also help lead people in the right to the right direction to get information. I have contacted several people who are a part of making sure that there is American Sign Language interpreters. There's a whole skill and a whole certification that has to go from that, and I think it's not only reputable, but important for us to consider those options when we're relaying information to people, especially if we're thinking about emergency orders or critical information that needs to be relayed in the next few hours. Sometimes we find ourselves in positions where we're saying this information and we're thinking we're spelling it out clearly or saying it clearly, and it may take us 2 minutes, but another person has to go back and watch it over and over again for another 20 minutes to get the same information because they're at a different area of life right now. And it isn't about who's intelligent or who isn't intelligent, or it's just about access. So I appreciate you asking these questions. This is something that I'm bringing forward to them as well. And again, grace, as we can give it, grace, but also grace comes with the understanding that there will be betterment next time.
No, I just strictly asked if you had any tips on that, because I know Miss Wilson works hard at her portion.
Absolutely.
Of it
Haley does
and
work
stuff
very
like
hard,
that.
and I respect the work that she does. And again, me saying this is not a shot at anybody.
No,
it's
I'm not
just a
taking it
collective
like that.
call to action.
I just wanted to know if if they were doing something different at the county, that where it flows and everything's how everybody.
We're still in the testing phase. I'm hoping to see how things will be next week when we have our county board meeting, and I hope to see some of y'all there. That'd be great.
All right, appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person signed up to speak is Kayla McGuire.
They're usually on like Tuesdays, I think.
Hi, I'm Kayla McGuire, and I've come to address a few things, the September 9th protest and just how these meetings are conducted as a whole. Firstly, it has come to my attention that Ms. Standage is being called a liar by people who I didn't see at the Sonia Massey protest. And although there is very obvious footage of what happened that day, I thought I would give my perspective anyway. I was a few people away from Ms. Standage when I heard an officer yell, "Grab her," and then grab her by a hoodie and pull her down to choke her to arrest her. Ms. Standage had her back to the line and, sorry, I haven't done public speaking in a while, had her back to the officers with a sign in her hand, and even though she was the one assaulted, she was the one arrested. So I'm a little confused about that. And that isn't the only time an officer assaulted someone at that protest. I can only speak from my experience. Not only did the riot shields knock my glasses off and fling me down the concrete steps, I too was pulled by my hoodie and choked because I found one of the officer's Apple Watches on the ground. I picked it up and I was like, who does this belong to? And then she yanked me back. As someone that struggles with anger outbursts, I decided to separate myself to keep myself and everyone safe. And I was just wondering if your officers have any of the same tactics, because it seems like whenever they get angry, they take it out on the people. So maybe they need more de-escalation training. Maybe we just start with just not pulling people by their hoodies. Just an idea. Then there's the issue of how these meetings are ran. Springfield has a deaf population of over 3,000, pushing 4,000 this year most likely. And like Reggie said, it doesn't seem like you guys really want to get that information to them. The subtitles aren't good, you don't show faces, and sometimes you guys even cut off mics. Even if you didn't fix those things and then didn't cut off mics, it still wouldn't quite be enough. As Reggie said, there's no ASL interpreter here. There's not one whenever it's being live streamed. And as far as I know, I could be wrong about this, but there's no written transcripts for these meetings for people to look up and read on their own time. Again, if that is an option, I would love to know where to find it. And lastly, the power trip that Springfield Police Department and the City Council is on needs to be stopped. You all have a duty to the community. You have the power to make a change where we can't. And I'm worried that change isn't coming. And instead of just telling you guys I have questions, what is being done to lessen the tension between the community and the people in power? What actions are being taken to stop corrupt people from becoming or staying cops? And is there a plan to resolve any of the issues that are repeatedly being brought to your attention? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next person signed up to speak is Ken Pesha.
So I did just want to mention, Sean, at the county meeting, they're actually almost worse. They've actually denied me the right to speak even after emailing me the approval of it and telling me I was on there. They've also played games with sign-up sheets, when people are allowed to sign up, who's allowed to sign up, how much that person's allowed to speak based off how many other people are going to talk about that topic. So, I mean, to be quite honest, guys, I go a lot of places, and there's a lot of that from people in authority. They don't like to hear from us. And I'm sure people really don't like to hear from me because I have a lot of points to make typically about the things that are going wrong. Last week, quite frankly, was a circus. Having to explain to people what was going on off camera was embarrassing. That a city authority would play games with its citizens like that. I've brought this guy to your guys' attention long before now. No one can say you didn't know that this was going on. Quite frankly, it's deeply frustrating when people in the public can see the cameras actively being moved off citizens while they speak, when they try and show QR codes that were approved, when their mic literally gets shut off not just in chambers, but also on YouTube. That's an active decision. I was raised with the belief that you should never attribute to malice what could be attributed to ignorance. However, the converse is again true. You should never attribute to ignorance what can be attributed to malice. And quite frankly, it seems pretty malicious what's been going on the last few months. The contentiousness, the lack of respect, the repeated attempts to silence citizens. I don't know if you guys notice it, but there's a reason I keep coming to speak, because nobody's going to quiet me. But I will note for you the reason less people seem to come to speak is because they're afraid to. Whether you guys have multiple police officers staffing it, at some points over 7 to 10, just within the premises, how do you feel people that are upset with the police, how do you think they feel when they want to come talk to you about that? You think they want to walk a phalanx of officers to get up here? Do you think they feel safe when that's going on? Now, I understand from an inside channel that, unfortunately, our mayor has been legitimately threatened, and I'm sorry to hear that. That is horrific that anybody would take a disagreement on a political level and take it to that. I do want to note that because I think that's a line and a bridge too far. I would never approve of violence against elected officials or over a political disagreement. However, I would also never want to censor or blank out your speech just because I disagree with you. And that's what's happening here. Citizens don't want to come speak. They're afraid to come speak. And quite frankly, the rules seem to be kind of arbitrarily applied. On your own website, I'm going to note this because I think this is really important because, quite frankly, it seems odd to me that I can find this, but it's not being followed. The text reads as such. Persons who have repeatedly refused to abide by the public comment rules or whose actions are severe may be banned from attendance and making public comment for a period of time commensurate with the offense. What are the offenses? What's the commensurate time? What's the lineup for that? As I mentioned last week, you don't just go straight to beating your child, right? I would hope you don't do that at all, but the point stands. You don't start with the most severe option, which seems like a 30-day ban, quite frankly. But I think the last line informs us all. After a motion by any member and majority vote of the council. You guys recall any votes to ban these folks? Anybody ask you about a 30-day measure? That's pretty interesting because it kind of seems like I read the rules better than some of you do. And it's kind of embarrassing because I don't even get paid to do this. I'm just a concerned citizen who, when I notice authority abusing its authority and silencing people, which is one of the things that disgusts me the most in this world. Because you don't have to like what I have to say, and I don't have to like what you have to say, but I will listen to you. And even if in the end I disagree with it, I'm still going to give you the respect owed to you to have the right to say something that bothers you or upsets you or worries you or terrifies you within your own community. And it should worry you that your own citizens don't feel comfortable doing that. And I'm going to spend the last minute touching on not only the camera issue, but the fact that our Facebook page is completely shut off from citizens arbitrarily. If you don't like what your citizens have to say about your city services, outreach, or information, do better. But how are you ever going to find that out if you don't even give them the opportunity? I mean, again, you're narrowing the access, cooling the speech, and preventing people from coming and talking to you unless they feel comfortable reaching out to an alderman or alderwoman, which I'll be quite frank, not everybody feels comfortable with. You guys are pretty serious and pretty important, and I think a lot of people feel intimidated by that. And that in itself, by not making it accessible or not putting yourselves out there or not making it so people feel comfortable and safe to actually come speak to you, lest they catch a ban or lest they be told they can't come here or lest they face even worse with the kind of things we're seeing outside of these chambers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person signed up to speak is Donald Hanrahan.
Thank you. I didn't know QR codes were banned. I stood here holding one up with Nick Dodson about a year ago, and nobody said a thing. In fact, it stayed there the whole time. My arms were tired. I came to speak about something else. In 2007, City Water, Light and Power was caught by the Sierra Club building Dolman 4 without necessary permits. So Sierra Club filed administrative complaints. Long story short, they settled that, but it led to 10 years, even to today, City Water, Light and Power disparaging the Sierra Club. Doug came here last week and addressed the council about House Bill 2902 and called it a Sierra Club bill. So I want to address that. The complaints made back then were dismissed if City Water, Light and Power got the proper permits and did two things. Built the plant to the standards of 2015 Clean Air Act and buy 10% of power from the renewables. Two things. Now CWLP goes around bragging about how we have the cleanest coal plant in the country. We built it. Whose idea was it? It was the Sierra Club that held their feet to the fire that accomplished that. But I don't care. We got it done. I don't care who claims credit. The second item was the bugaboo. When implementing the agreement, CWLP and the council, with no Sierra Club involvement, signed a wind power agreement at a costly rate that was locked in for 10 years when wind power was just beginning to scale up and expected to get cheaper. A renegotiated price clause would have saved ratepayers millions, but would take away the ability to scapegoat the Sierra Club and renewables, so they left it out, costing ratepayers millions, and they blamed that blunder on Sierra Club. Baloney. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it wasn't deliberate, but just incompetence, but it wasn't the Sierra Club. In 2017, Sierra Club efforts exposed CWLP losing money hand over fist on 3 old, now retired coal plants. So we pushed and pushed for an IRP, and voila, the IRP found that it was untenable to keep running those plants. Worse than all the previous studies, worse than even Sierra Club said. It also recommended doing another IRP in 5 years. Here we are now 6 years and still the foot dragging. Finally, an agreement last November to do it a year late. Now more foot dragging. And yesterday or last week when I was here, I said, okay, what's 2 months to wait until the legislative session is over and House Bill 2902 is done? Well, there's something about that you need to know. Mr. Brown, the chair of the Illinois Municipal Utilities Association, is also lobbying on that bill. He claimed it made no sense to start an IRP till we got all this done. And Alderman Williams specifically asked, well, what about grandfathering it in? Couldn't we negotiate that in? Well, the next day I found out that the organization he chairs lobbied for a clause that if a utility begins or completes an IRP in 2025, they meet the requirements for compliance. Proponents of the bill accepted those changes. Alderman Williams brought it up. He said, you know, he used the word, we could get grandfathered in, we should stick to our plans. Why weren't we told that his own group negotiated just such a provision? His own group. I also read the bill the next day in full, which directly contradicts his narrative about how it cedes local control of the integrated resource plan to a state agency. I read it. It says nothing of the kind. Nothing. It's a short bill. You can read it. It's very pro-public, very pro-ratepayer, and requires even more public involvement than we had with our own last IRP. But if Doug thinks it's not open and public enough, I'd love to sit down and make even more suggestions to make it more public, more transparent, and more complete. I know that Lori McKernan has signed up to speak more about what's in the bill, so I'm not going to address it particularly. She will. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person signed up to speak is Hope Pitts. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Williams. I apologize. I didn't see that you signed up.
That's fine. I just wanted to, interject some comments on this this holdup or this pause that some aldermen think it's okay. That we can go ahead and wait the 2 months. And I asked those questions, Mayor, because I saw right through it. I feel like that pending legislation or whatever they're doing down there. Like I said last week, we have all kinds of pending legislation that infects our lives. But that don't mean we go on pause and hold until they finish. We keep on living, and there's a possibility, and now I'm hearing this, it makes me angry. That makes me very angry if he knew, Director Brown, knew that was the situation, that he had lobbied or his group had lobbied or whatever the situation would be. My whole problem with a lot of this stuff up here is engagement, community engagement. I have been fighting since I've been an alderman. Let's start engaging them, whether they're the Sierra Club, environmental group, even this group here that we're dealing with right now. What Reggie's talking about, accessibility. Let's engage them. Let's work and talk together. And both sides do a lousy job. We do a lousy job because they come up and speak and we don't respond. Out of courtesy of what we got going on, we just let them say something and sit down after they took the time to come up, wait their turn, get up here, and give their comments. And a lot of times I realize it's late, maybe we've had a long meeting, whatever, we don't engage, but we have to do a better job at engaging because a lot of things and half of what they're arguing about isn't even the 10 of us. We don't turn on no mics or turn off no mics. We don't move no cameras. We don't vote for anybody to be barred. Nobody has I ever voted and said, you can't come back for 30 minutes. So, 30 days. So my whole point is, there's a lot of misunderstanding going on. Yes, I serve and I got elected to take it, but I also got elected to hear it. And I should engage, not just the environmental group, not just this group, but any group of citizens that want to come up and engage us. And yes, it's going to make for long meetings sometime. It just is. But in the middle of that, to check a director or to keep a director and to see their perspective, we have to communicate. And then what he's just telling me tonight is making me very angry, because I was very forefront saying, hey, we could still be meeting. I have worked a long time just to get to where we're going to do a plan again. So now we're going to do a plan. We should have stuck to our plan, be doing our plan, and whatever comes of our plan, whatever they end up passing, maybe we would be grandfathered in, is what I'm saying. And it sounds like that's what would have probably happened. But they play it as, oh no, it's so different, we need to wait. And so that's what we're at. We're paused, we're waiting. That's a disservice to Springfield citizens. That's another excuse not to engage and to hear what they really have to say. And I had to say this tonight because it's not just true about CWOP. It's true about a lot of things that we deal with. I'm dealing with Sangamon County right now with the dog issue. We don't want to deal with it. So we let people complain to us, and then we have to change it. If it ain't working, it ain't working. If we ain't getting our services. But some of us up here get mad about that. Oh, no, we got to leave it alone in the name of affordability, in the name of, oh, that's just the way we do it or how it's been, because we're too scared to make a change and update ourselves to keep up with the people. Maybe our rules are outdated. I don't know. And I'll be honest, I did not know that it read that we should be voting on people getting suspended. This is the first time I ever heard that tonight. So, and I'm 4 years old up here, so I'm sorry about that. That means I need to do a lot more reading, but I want you guys to also know a lot of things you're upset about ain't the 10 members doing it. Now, there's an administrative side and there's a legislative side. I try to stick to the legislative side. I only get involved in the admin or the administration is when I see conflict and I see something happen that crosses over, like delaying us from engaging our community because of that pending legislation. That's a perfect example of when I get involved with the administrative side. Not to beat up on them. I'm up here thanking them when they do right, but our job is also to get on them when they're doing wrong. And we do need to engage you guys. I'm the first to admit it. You guys have to engage us back. And we all have to respect each other and learn to get along. Enough is enough of us fussing at each other and talking at each other instead of talking with each other and communicating together and having meetings and trying to make change. If we have to make change, I'm willing. Well, we never get past that because of how we exist right now. And I'm looking forward to the day that we do change it and that we do get along a lot better, because this is going on week after week. It's not going away. I agree with you. It's not going away. You guys are going to keep coming. So we might as well go ahead and quit playing the camera angles and quit playing the mics and all that. First of all, no, it ain't us. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but somebody's got to be doing it. But it doesn't come from the council. In other words, we don't take a vote and say, tonight we're doing this angle or we're doing that angle. We don't get involved with those things. We sit up here and act grown and don't say nothing because we're elected to be here to represent our awards, but you guys need to know the truth about some of the things you complain about. I appreciate your time, and Mayor, I'm sorry, but I just had to say some of these things because this last piece is not going to go away with me. When we could have been having our plan talked about with our citizens while they're doing their thing that they're elected to do down at the legislature. Two things can go on at one time. And for that to be used to pause it or slow it down or whatever is disgusting to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Gregory.
Yes, I signed up, but I think Alderwoman Notarano, she's been communicating with Corporation Counsel, so I would like to let her go, and if I have some additional comments, I'll go after you, Jen.
Okay. Alderwoman Notriano.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Alderman Gregory. I would just like to echo Alderman Williams's point that we have never voted to ban anybody. We actually don't have a say. Like, there is nothing that we can do, and I don't know if the 9 of you know that, but there is nothing that we can do to prevent those letters going out. Like, nothing. And I would just like to highlight to everyone how dangerous it is that we're not handling these issues in a deliberative manner and an even manner. We don't have more than a handful of people making decisions on whose behavior is acceptable and whose is not. Because just like Don just said, with the QR code, he got to hold up the QR code, and last week we saw that those people didn't. The one thing that we have to do as a city is to treat everyone the same. Yeah, exactly. And we have to make sure that we are not making decisions based on who is saying it. And it may not be intentional, but how many of these letters have gone out to men? How many of these letters are addressing foul language and disrupting the gallery when we have had other folks do that? So people have come up here and used foul language with impunity, and we've never taken a vote. We've hardly ever even called it out. We had folks come in here over the summer and make one of our alder people feel uncomfortable, feel threatened, and no letter went out, no talk of a letter. And so what I want to tell the 9 of you is that if we don't make a change, we're going to see some bills come in for attorney's fees because we will get sued. Because I've been reading the legislation. People sue over this all the time. And whether we win or we lose, I don't know. We'll see about it. But what we're doing now, we're well on our way to getting in trouble because there are certain people who can come up here and say whatever and break whatever rules, and certain people who get called out on it and get a letter the next week. So I think that's about it. Yeah, thank you.
Alderman Gregory.
So, Corporation Counsel Murdoch, talk to me. What's the ruling? What's the ruling? So
this is a designated public forum, so we can institute time, place, and manner restrictions. And with those restrictions, the city is allowed to impose discipline if those are violated. So with regard to the 4 specific instances that where letters have gone out, now 5 specific instances where letters have gone out, I'll refer to the memorandum that is circulated, which is covered by the attorney-client privilege. That's not my privilege to waive, so I don't want to get into that. But that explained the entire thought process behind it and why the city's taking these actions.
So, and Ms. Caitlin, she called me, and I explained to her, what our process as a council under Robert Rules of Order would be, to my knowledge, right? We have a process of, if we want to interrupt point of information, point of orders, things of that nature. If someone's out of order, then we have a choice. The chair has a choice to hit the gavel at that point and warn that individual, even on to the point of saying that we're going to remove them, and then we take a vote. That would be somewhat our process if we took that.
That's correct.
So there's another process that that doesn't have to take place. So and it just is what it is. That is our corporation council's ruling on it. But there is rules. We do have some rules in our code of code of conduct up here. I definitely believe cursing is one of them. Ms. Weiss recognizes that. She definitely recognizes that. And I agree. You know, those things have been said before, and we haven't done those things. So, Jen, I'm okay with looking at this, you know, and seeing if we need to flatten out as far as how this goes or whatever. So everybody's feeling like there's a vote on it. But our meetings do have to go. The chair of those meetings is going to decide what's disruptive or not. And every chair may be different right now under our Robert Rules of Order. So that's where I'm at with it. That's why I try to operate within that, within point of orders and point of informations and things of that nature. As a person who has definitely been loud up here and things of that nature, I understand. But we definitely. I mean, I watch city council meetings all over this country, and they all get a little rowdy at times, and then other times not. So I don't think it's that bad. I think, you know, I compliment my brother Roy for his wisdom. He always does this to me and Keisha, and at times Jen when we're being a little rowdy. So I appreciate those words, and I think that will help us going forth. I would say that, you know, regardless, you know, if we're going to shut off the mic to them, I don't think our mic should be shut off. And I know that system probably works together, Chuck. Clerk Redpath, but I think our mics should still be on so we can communicate or have something to say. I mean, their mics cut, not ours. So I don't know how that works, but that's how, you know, I feel at that point. If we're going to cut their mics, but ours should remain live. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Purchase?
Thank you. I don't want to belabor the point, but since we're on the topic, I think Alderwoman Nutriano had some great points. I also have talked to Corporation Counsel Mordock about this, and it does sway. And obviously, I know some of you all in this audience still don't care for me, but during that time, it was a lot of, we signed up for this to take the disrespect that was given. But also, I was trying to learn to work with some of you all, but when you try to go into the community and you try to talk to someone, or you're just being threatened on social media, I don't think anybody deserves to be threatened. Sometimes I've asked personally for the police department, we don't have no way of knowing, it's for the safety of you all and the safety of us too, if somebody brings a weapon in here. We don't even know where it's coming from. It can be to harm someone in this audience. It could be to harm someone up here on the city council. And I think that's really, really important to be addressed. And also, Alderman Williams had a great point. We're at a point where this has been going on for 8 months now, back and forth from up here on the council to the individuals in the community and watching it. And I'm glad that you brought it up, that we don't control the social media. So when we hear you all talking, you say y'all, all of y'all. That's all we hear all the time, but we don't have any control of that. We don't mess with that page every day. We don't say what goes out on that page. We don't say who can get cut off on this mic. So I think Corporation Counsel, even last week, I think it was Brianna Roberts that was up here. I think that was honestly a mistake, but we went back and added more time. But maybe somebody should have said that, hey, it's a mistake or it's being cut off at the moment, because it really helps to have that transparency. And Mordock, I know I've asked you a couple times too and said, hey, I'm sorry for like raising my hand, because I know we all agreed up here not to go back and forth. And it's kind of hard when you're sitting around watching people talk and then you want to say something and you like, but I'm trying to follow the rules that was provided to us. So just telling us like what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing, I think would be helpful for the audience to know too as well.
Yeah, I can put together a presentation for the council if they want on the Open Meetings Act and what our rules say. Yeah.
Just to have it open in the air so we all are on the same page, because I think it's hard for us to receive too. It came from before when somebody made a comment. I can't remember because it was so far back, but it was a comment made that y'all need to get it together because you guys are doing stuff for one person and not doing something for the other, but we may not have a response for every single person that comes up and talks, so somebody may feel a certain way, and just knowing what that protocol is. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Conley?
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm just going to really quickly sum up because everyone's raised some real good points. I think it needs to be really emphasized that we're hearing that people are confused and that there's a sense of inconsistency and that rules aren't being applied evenly. And I think it's important that people understand, because I come in here, unless it's really, really super urgent bathroom break, I listen to everything everyone says. And we are in a time right now, and our community is expressing a lot of pain. And it gets expressed in this meeting a lot. And I will say this, we heard tonight, the county is not as accessible as we are. County, I think, doesn't give 5 minutes. We give 5. The county, the school board give 3. Do they give 5? Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure. And I can't even see that far over in there. But we should be accessible. I don't always agree with everything everyone says. I don't always agree with everything I say. Sometimes I change my mind, right? This happens. But it is important that we listen, and I hope that people understand that I'm doing a better job at taking notes because I'm a little older and I don't always remember everything. But I listen to everything everyone says, and we do hear you on this council. Like tonight, we had 18 people, I think, originally signed up to speak. At 5 minutes apiece, that's another hour and a half. We do want to be cognizant of time. I always encourage you, our email is out there, my phone number is out there. Reach out to your council members. It doesn't have to be face-to-face. You know, if someone's not comfortable with that, send an email, reach out to us, and let us know so we can also work on this stuff outside of our council meetings. You know, I know everyone around this horseshoe, everyone spends a lot of time outside of these meetings trying to address problems and issues and concerns. And so it's really important that dialogue not just be in here where it can get confrontational, right? And people, I have been feeling this. I have been feeling the pain and the discomfort that our community has right now, and it is real. And we have to acknowledge that. But I also think that I just hope that people will understand and work with us, that it's easier for us, it's better for us, more productive for us if we can work in this meeting. And that needs to be with a shared understanding of your voices are important, your message needs to be heard. We also need to hear each other, and not everything's going to get resolved immediately, but we will try. And I think, and I see that of all of my colleagues. I know that this is a group of people who wants to do what's best for our community. And I have learned. I learned from people who come up and speak, and I thank you for that. And I do, as best as I can, the respect of listening to everything that everyone says. So, but I do think we need to make sure that we're being consistent, because I have heard salty language thrown. I think there was kind of maybe trying to give a little grace for a while, but I think people need to understand, you come in and bring your anger, bring your frustration, maybe bring it without quite so salty, and we will also do the same, because it's important that we model the behavior that we ask for. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman. The next person signed up to speak is Hope Pitts. Is Hope here? Last call for Hope. The next person signed up to speak is James Johnson.
What's the word, James?
Disruption.
All right. I just want to hear what's been going on.
The shootings.
I get with you. Mayor, council, I'm here on behalf of last week myself. And I'm wondering, why are y'all being, or whoever is being so sensitive about some cuss words? That's the last thing we need to be worried about. Why are you making so many changes, Mayor, to this mic? Every mic should be left on. Nobody should be cut off. Let these people say, I've been coming around here the longest. I've seen all y'all come up here, and I probably see some of y'all go, because that's how long it's been. But let me remind y'all about something. And Mr. Cox, I'm going to exclude you because you knew, but you sit and listen. So keep listening, because I'm going to teach tonight. Do y'all remember, because Redpath been around here since Lincoln. Do y'all remember 1 and 7 went at it and said, meet me in the hallway?
Yeah.
Come on. See, I don't forget stuff like that. So when citizens come up here to speak, and you use the good word, somebody used a good word, but I'm going to tell you what the word is. The word is anger. Citizens are angry. Now, on this election, Jay, I'm going to remind y'all, all of y'all are politicians. Do y'all know how we really feel about politicians? Let's keep it real. Let's look at the percentages of people who voted in this for a mayoral race. 34 to 35% citywide. For a mayoral race, the person who makes the decisions along with the rest of y'all. So that's why people say y'all, because y'all politicians. But so out of that 30-some%, you got a handful of people who come here on a regular basis, including myself, who care about their community and come up here and try to express themselves. But what y'all did last week, and to those people, that's bull feces. You're wrong. And I'm going to suggest you don't do it again, because I'm going to stick to my notes on this one. Mayor, drive down I-55, go south about an hour and a half, and ask some people in Ferguson what happens when the community ain't heard. Mr. Brown kicked it off. That's what the shooting of Mr. Brown caused the disruption. But figure out and ask the questions, what happened before then? And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. I told y'all 4 weeks, go talk to the police chief about what's going on right now. I told y'all 4 weeks ago. So, if you don't let people speak up here, let me remind you of something. I got to take my shades off for this. Let me remind you. That was 2014. I'm going to go back to April 29th, 1992, Los Angeles riots. Hold on, let me give you one a little closer. 2023, the anti-police riot in Atlanta, Georgia, right here in the United States. So all of y'all are scholars. Do you know what the definition of a riot is? For all you scholars and you politicians, stop treating people like secondhand citizens. Give them their time. Stop cutting these mics off, because I wish you would cut the mic off on me, because I'll talk louder. But see, I've been around here long enough. I'm going to give you your respect. In 30 seconds, I'm going to be off. But if y'all keep playing with these citizens, these are the ones who care and that's coming here. I know a whole bunch that's tired of meetings, tired of protests, and tired of talking. Play with them, and they're going to show you, they're going to speak to you in a different way, Mayor, and we ain't going to like it.
The next person signed up to speak is Veronica Glass. Is Veronica here?
Good evening. I'm Veronica Glass. Well, I would like to speak about a lot, because there's a lot to speak about. But I want to talk about our unhoused individuals. What are we going to do to help these people? I really don't see a lot of you on the horseshoe really trying to help them much. Why? They don't meet the needs of some of you up there? They can't donate to your campaign? So instead, you have the lovely SPD out there harassing them around the city, especially on North Grand Avenue, my area. So that's why I see it. They're just trying to survive like the rest of us. Why can't you be more like the city of Peoria. They have donated $109,000 since January. Then the Illinois United Way just gave $205,000 grant. That's a total of $314,000 to help the unhoused. This all goes to the program, the Lulu program. Now they have some of the unhoused in a motel and some at the Dream Center in Peoria. I know this because my daughter works for the Dream Center. Feeding them and helping them with personal hygiene items, laundry, clothing, counseling. The Lulu program started in 2020 by Keisha Bernard and Jessica McKee, and this was the first year for the motel project, and they used to go to the unhoused encampments and hand out food and personal hygiene products. The grant has some conditions. The Lulu program cannot use the new individuals. Once someone checks out of the motel, they cannot return and must use other programs. The mayor of Peoria expressed gratitude for the Lulu program and the United Way. Peoria's population is 110,460. Springfield, 113,24. Why can't our city help our unhoused individuals like Peoria? What's the difference? Our city officials don't want to. That's plain and simple. We don't want to like that. Why can't we help our unhoused individuals? Why not? Now I'm going to spend the rest of the time on how you treat the individuals up here. This is my second time coming out speaking. And then I see how you treat people that come up here and speak. I understand frustration, everything like that. I understand that. Respect is earned, not given. If you want somebody to respect you, you got to earn that. You cutting off the mic, you doing the camera angles and all that, you're not going to earn respect. You're not going to earn that. You're supposed to be the mayor. You're supposed to be the alderwoman. You're supposed to be the alderman. They're saying they're not making the decisions. Well, then who's making that decision? Who's telling them to cut off the mic? Who's telling them to do the camera like that? Who's giving permission to do that? Who's doing that? Is it the mayor? Who's telling them it? Is it you? Who's giving permission to do that? That's what I want to know. Because I sit and watch it at home when I'm not here. You know, it irks me. I was like, what in the heck? Who gives us the right to do that? We have the freedom of speech. That's our right. I mean, would you like somebody to do that to you? Cut you off when you're up here talking? I don't even like it in a general conversation. We teach our children not to cut people off when they're an older adult. You don't cut them off, but you're doing it all the time. I just think that's very unprofessional, and that's all I have to say.
The next person signed up to speak is Brianna Eilers.
Good evening. Okay, so first off, I know I just came up here all happy. That's my persona. I'm just a happy-go-lucky person. But Sean, condolences. And then I wanted to, Aaron, you had said that you're feeling the pain of the community, but I just wanted to let you know that your community is different than the poor community. And the reason why I specify that is because the poor community has been coming up here week after week after week. We are not a group of people. I did want to clarify that. Roy, you had said that we were a group of people. We are not. We are individuals. We're individuals who need help, but you guys aren't helping us. So just, we're feeling the pain. I don't think that you are. With that being said, you had said that we should also reach out to our council members. I don't trust my council member. I won't reach out to her. I think we know who it is. Okay, so I wanted to give a shout out to Cory Booker. I don't know if you guys saw today. I am like exhausted. I went to sleep last night with Cory Booker's voice in my head. I woke up this morning to Cory Booker's voice again, and I was more proud of America than I have been in months. I felt patriotic, finally. I was proud of something. So I just want to put that out there that Cory Booker is doing the work. He also said a lot of like crazy things whenever he was talking. He wanted to let everybody know that when you are first coming into politics and you're like, what the heck is going on? What is happening? What is happening? Who is actually doing all of this? He said there's two classes. There's actually three, but there's two classes that are in power. It's the looters and the polluters. Looters, if you look at our political history, the mob was very, very involved in the Democratic Party. If you look at our history, rich people, aka the tech billionaires, are very involved in our Republican Party. Where do we fit? Where do the people fit? Because we're not mob members and we are also not rich. So at what point do we get Indigenous Peoples Day? Putting that out there. All right, so, oh my goodness. I just can't even. Yeah, I'm actually just going to leave it at that because that's where I'm going to leave it. I want Springfield to wake up because if you look up the Zito family, they were a mob family in St. Louis, and whenever the feds shut down the Zito family, all those crime bosses, they ran up here to Springfield. A lot of those names are still here. I've got a whole list of them if you'd like them. I also have their financials because I like to look into that stuff. I'm very, very nosy, and I like to see who's connected to what. So, with that being said, I'm going to go make sure my living will is written up. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good night, and I hope you start actually listening to the people because this is ridiculous.
The next person signed up to speak is Maribel Cruz-Hine.
All right, I brought the same QR code from last time. Okay. I would like to ask for a moment of silence for the 15 healthcare workers that were murdered by the Israeli government just this past weekend, and all the lives lost in Syria, Yemen, Lebanon, and Palestine. It's really astonishing that in a country funded by immigrant has somehow become a bad word. I'm sure you heard that our country sent a whole bunch of people to El Salvador with no due process, admitting that they made a mistake with several of them, but had no criminal record and still refuses to pick them up. What is it to be an immigrant? A person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. People not from this land. By that definition, we are all children of immigrants. Remember that question I asked you before? Do you know how many people does it take to create you? Do you? For you to be born today from 12 previous generations, you need a total sum of 4,094 ancestors over the last 400 years. How many expressions of love and hope for the future did our immigrant indigenous ancestors have to undergo for you to exist at this present moment? Being undocumented is not a crime under federal law, yet this current administration treats them like criminals. Why? Let me drop some knowledge. According to the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy, undocumented immigrants paid a total of $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022. Most of the amount was $59.4 billion was paid to the federal government, while the remaining $37.3 billion was paid to state and local governments. Undocumented immigrants paid federal, state, and local taxes of $8,889 per person in 2022. In other words, for every 1 million undocumented immigrant who reside in the country, public services receive $8.9 billion in additional tax revenue. More than a third of the tax dollars paid by undocumented immigrants go toward payroll taxes, dedicated to funding programs that these workers are barred from accessing. Undocumented immigrants paid $25.7 billion in Social Security taxes, $6.4 billion in Medicare taxes, $1.8 billion in unemployment taxes in 2022. Everyone paying these taxes is funding this genocide until we divest. I'm sure you also have heard about ICE abducting more students and residents that have committed no crime, documented immigrants who pay taxes. Again, I quote Chloe Swarwick, "When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Ask yourselves, are you fighting for freedom or are you fighting for privilege? Who benefits and who pays the price?" Our First Amendment is under attack for speaking truth to power. This is from the United Nations Children's Fund, I read today. There are more child amputees in Gaza than anywhere else in the world. At least 4,000 children have had one or more limbs amputated in Gaza, many without anesthesia. The occupation's indiscriminate bombing has led to the amputations, while the occupation blockade has denied medical aid, such as anesthesia, to enter Gaza. To bomb a hospital is a war crime. Israel occupation has bombed every hospital in Gaza, every single hospital. This is a letter extract from Mahmoud Khalil, who is the QR code for, as a Palestinian political prisoner from ICE detention said, "Who has the right to have rights? It's certainly not the humans crowded in the cells here. I have always believed that my duty is not only to liberate myself from the oppressor, but also to liberate my oppressor from their hatred and their fear." Women from Justice said, "What radicalized you? Nothing. Not wanting people to starve and suffer is not radical. It's normal. Stop saying it's radical to be base level empathetic and start asking what made people into sadists. Call out sick behavior because I'm tired of people thinking kindness shouldn't be our default. We need to push for divestment, sanctions, boycotts. This is our moral obligation. I wish you all so much love, freedom, and liberation. Free Congo, free Sudan, free Palestine.
The next person signed up to speak is Michelle Cruz-Hine. Michelle Cruz-Hine.
So do we need to do something for the QR code? Like, is there a problem with it, or what's going on with it?
Who's moving?
Like, why can't it be shown? It's just for letters for a release for a man. If somebody wants to sign the petition, they can literally scan the QR code, and that's all it is. No, we just don't say anything? Okay. Emails are great, but it doesn't reach the entire public, and the point of coming up here is to reach the entire public because people watch these things. I'm here because of the disregard by Mayor Misty Busher to Caitlin Weiss. It was unbelievable to watch that 2 weeks ago. Your duty as the mayor is to carry out policies set by the council and to see to it that local laws are enforced. But are you doing that? Where's your statement? The police department's shame, or should be shame, is also your shame to carry, if not more. Your utter lack of concern for this police culture and crisis to our community speaks volumes when you usher the person you should be listening to off the microphone. That is your job. Where is your empathy and where is your sense of duty? The second thing that concerns me is the law. I keep asking myself, who is the law here to protect? If the same person who speeds can issue me a ticket, isn't that a problem? Who did it protect in the case of Chelsea and Trevor? Sergeant Egan. Was Sonia Massey protected by the law when both officers pointed their guns at an unarmed woman? Are the drivers and pedestrians protected by the law when police officers decide they no longer want to wait for a red light, whip on their lights, and speed through traffic, abusing power, because we all see that? Was the law there to protect my student when he told me he was pulled over for looking too young? We have all heard about the international courts issuing Netanyahu's arrest and demand for sanctions by countries, states, and cities, yet day after day, bombs are supplied and he's welcomed here to address our Congress and genocide continues. Is the law protecting Palestinians? Is the law protecting Mahmoud Khalil, an Al-Arazi Doridi, an Iranian-born mechanical engineer graduate student who has a visa? If that doesn't scare anybody here, it should. When the law is disregarded by those who are supposed to uphold it, it no longer works. It becomes and is a system of oppression. That is why people call to abolish the police, because they are calling for the abolition of oppression. In my profession, I have to show student growth, yet prisons and police don't. Why do people who go to jail and are sent to prison have an 80% chance of return upon release? Is that system working? What can be implemented to improve our cities to truly reduce crime and poverty? Because more police, more weapons, more vehicles do not equal lower crime and nor safer cities. So what can be implemented to improve our city and uplift the people out of poverty? If you prioritize and lift up the most vulnerable population, imagine what you can do for everyone else. This should be on all of your minds every day. You have the power to make decisions, so how are you using it to improve the conditions for the people of Springfield? Finally, if this city is going to continue to invest in the police, then maybe some breathalyzers that you blow into before starting the car would be useful.
The next person signed up to speak is Brianna Roberts.
Hi, guys. So, whoever is in control of the cameras and the microphones must not have been listening to that really productive conversation. Hold on, let me catch my breath. I'm so mad. They must not have been listening to you guys, because as soon as we were talking about accessibility and respect and how QR codes are allowed, they completely disregarded everything you guys said and removed the camera off of them as soon as they came up here. They were literally playing tag with the cameras as soon as they came up here. So you guys want to say, oh, you always come up here and say it's y'all, it's y'all, it's y'all. Well, if it's not you guys, they are making you guys look terrible. So maybe you should talk to the people that are in charge of the cameras and the microphones if you don't want to get the heat for what they're doing, okay? So that's what I want to first address. I'm standing here tonight because I will not be silenced. What happened to me at the last week's meeting, what has been happening to us for months now, is unacceptable. Last week, I followed every rule. I didn't say any profanity, I didn't call anybody out of their name, and I didn't go over my time. But yet, whoever, again, this mystery person, apparently it's Haley Wilson, is in charge of the cameras and the microphones, somehow thought she had the authority to turn off my mic for absolutely no reason. And you guys, except for two of you, those two who stood up for me, thank you, I appreciate it. The rest of y'all just let it happen. So when I say y'all, it is y'all, okay? And I also want to touch on the fact that we are allowed to get angry. And notice that I'm angry again today. And I'm going to keep coming up here angry until something changes. And I don't appreciate being tone policed, especially as a black woman. It's more than frustrating to be treated in this way. To come here week after week to address my concerns, to be met with censorship, and for your utter disdain for people, you make us feel like you absolutely hate our presence. You want us to feel like you care about the community? Maybe start with making us feel like you actually care about us instead of just staring at us just so we can feel like you're listening. Not to bring up the written bans, but Michelle Cruz and Maribel Cruz-Hines and myself experienced censorship with no proper discussion or formal motion. This is beyond disorganization. This is beyond technical malfunction, like somebody tried to say it was. This is a pattern. It's a pattern that reeks of abuse of power and arrogant contempt for the people of this city. Our right to speak is protected by the First Amendment. Public attendance at these meetings is protected by the OMA. But how protected are we supposed to feel if you could just turn off the microphones? Not even you, some random person can turn off the microphones and cameras whenever they want. Doesn't feel very protected to me. After the meeting, I even had a conversation with Chair Hanauer, and I asked him if he was the one responsible for my mic being turned off, and he didn't even have an explanation as to why that happened. So the chair, the person that's in charge of the meeting, doesn't even know what's going on to the people that are coming up here to address you guys. That doesn't sound very organized to me. There's people in the background that are making these decisions that reflect poorly on the horseshoe. Who do I need to talk to then? Because I've texted Haley Wilson multiple times since last week. I've emailed her, so has Ken, so has, I'm pretty sure, Tiara. And not a single one of us has gotten a response. So how are we supposed to feel like there's open communication when I don't get answers as to why she felt like it was appropriate to shut off my microphone and mute me on YouTube for absolutely no reason? All I want to say is, you guys, you, Haley Wilson, whoever is in charge of changing the cameras and muting me, I have enough evidence against you guys to create a case. And after today, I promise you I will take action, because what you're not going to do is attack me and my friend's First Amendment rights and expect me not to do anything about it, because I'm the wrong person to do that to. Thank you.
Next person signed up to speak is Lori McKiernan. Lori McKiernan.
I just want to note Ethan gave us Haley's number after she requested us to reach out to her. And that's why for an entire week, she hasn't returned a call.
Go ahead, Ms. McKiernan.
That's your director of communication. Sounds like it. Call Republic out here for a couple of late trash pickups.
Start the timer.
Good evening. My statement is in response to CWLP's presentation last week about House Bill 2902, the Municipal and Cooperative Electric Utility Planning and Transparency Act. I'd like to address some discrepancies that I found after I read the bill. Last week, CWLP said, quote, the bill requires IRPs every 3 years only for municipal and cooperative electric utilities, not investor-owned utilities, which have a much larger impact, end quote. So investor-owned utilities like ComEd and Ameren are delivery-only utilities. They do not generate electricity. Instead, they only distribute electricity and gas to customers. They're regulated by the Illinois Commerce Commission and are required to file multi-year integrated grid plans instead of an IRP. That's why this bill only applies to municipal and cooperative utilities. Doug Brown should know that. Last week, CWLP said, quote, the bill gives oversight of generation and resource planning to the Illinois Power Agency, end quote. The idea of the Illinois Power Agency oversight, according to the bill, means that they post the IRP on their website, they manage some of the public input, and they provide a list of firms qualified to conduct an IRP. Last week, CWLP said, quote, the bill mandates prescriptive IRPs, what scenarios must be included, places mandates on who can perform IRPs, and how public participation is conducted, end quote. The bill does have criteria on the IRP process, but it's not prescriptive on how the recommendations are implemented. The preferred recommendations to be implemented should be decided upon with input from you all and the public. According to the bill, an IRP will include a range of forecasts for the 5-year planning period, the results of RFPs for generation resources, a 5-year plan for meeting forecasted loads, a portfolio of generation, storage, and demand-side programs that meets the forecasted load, and a description of models and methodologies used in the IRP process, along with other things. What does CWLP find objectionable about these criteria? According to the bill, the stakeholder process includes the municipal utility will hold at least 2 stakeholder meetings open to the public, including options for written comments. During the meetings, the utility will discuss the process and its core assumptions and constraints. The Illinois Power Agency will post the IRP plan on its public website. After submitted, the utility shall hold at least 2 more public meetings, one in public, one remotely, to address questions. The Illinois Power Agency will accept public comments and provide the comments to the utility. The utility will review public comments and reasonably address all questions. What does CWLP object to about these criteria? According to the bill, regarding contractors, that the Illinois Power Agency will keep a list of experts. The criteria is previous experience assembling power supply plans for utilities. It has a list of educational requirements from the firm. The firm must have 10 years of experience in the electricity sector. They must have an expertise in wholesale electricity market rules, and they must have adequate resources to perform the required functions of an IRP. What does CWLP object to in these criteria for the contractors? So CWLP's final bullet item claims that the bill would give up control that CWLP customers have. I would counter that by repeating what I said last week, and that is that the bill doesn't give up local control, but takes control from CWLP to dictate our energy future and returns that local control to our municipality and the customers. Once again, you didn't get the whole story. I would suggest that you ask CWLP specifically what they're objecting to with this bill, and I would also ask them for specific numbers on the projected expense to CWLP on staffing that they referred to last week. I've heard CWLP and many of you in this horseshoe often discuss, let's say, $200,000 for a gas conversion study that's just a drop in the bucket for CWLP. By the way, this bill says, quote, if a utility elects to rely on an expert consulting firm selected by the Illinois Power Agency, 90% of the costs assessed by that expert for development of the IRP shall be paid by the Illinois Power Agency up to $250,000, end quote. So you all allotted $600,000 for the IRP. That's an additional $250,000 that would go a long way to pay for the CWLP staff doing the IRP process. So I verified tonight that this House bill is also part of an omnibus energy bill that should be voted on this session. It's the Clean and Reliable Grid Affordability Act. Don't let Doug Brown tell you that these bills are bad. You need to get the whole story. You need to research these bills, read the bills. They're easy to read, and you need to make your own decisions. Thank you.
Next person signed up to speak is Robert Frazier.
Well, first off, I want to start out and say thank you to the alderpersons that spoke up about people speaking in their rights. It was well taken. Thank you very much. The city council is a very tough place by design for people to sit. This is probably an unusual night where it hasn't been that long, but typically it's hours. And, you know, you're expected to remember what you came here for, and going through all the emotional roller coasters and all that, and then respectfully come up and talk about what you came to speak about. It's tough for people that just don't generally speak. Maybe we can do some different things. And I heard some people ask maybe something that we can do different. Maybe we can ask for citizens that request to speak first instead of last. After all, we're here to serve the public, right? Please don't take this wrong in any way. It's no disrespect. It's just a suggestion. We'll get on with CSA. Robert Frazier, CSA Executive Director. Springfield poverty rate is around 16.5%. Data from 23 shows that it's equal to about 18,570 people. For statistical purposes, let's say 1,000 people are on the street. Not yet, but we're headed there, which would put our sheltered, poverty, traumatized people at about 94.6%. All people may or may not, you might not see them every day, but as you can rest assured, they're struggling to make ends meet. In a day and age where people may not that didn't have to worry about surviving day to day or minute by minute, are now starting to feel the small pinch of what it feels like, or what uncertainty feels like. It's not that comfortable, is it? I'm used to it. I've been there forever. The basic necessity for a human being is what matters. We can all agree on that. Basic necessities are needed. There's a lot of data that I can share, and I enjoy providing transparency with truth, knowledge, but for the sake of time, I will keep it short. Every day I'm learning. Arguably, 40,000 people in Springfield, Sangamon County are on Link or SNAP, is what they call it, card. Benefits, if you are making $292 a month on SNAP benefits, would you take any of that money and do your laundry? I doubt it. CSA has created a sustainable service through strategic partners that assures the basic human necessities is met for poverty-traumatized people that need help with laundry issues. We have been providing these services for over a year and a half in Springfield, and the level of service has never been provided for 7 days per week. CSA has provided over 2 million loads of laundry and serviced tens of thousands of people or PTP. CSA needs your monthly support or your monetarily support. Please support the Soap to Hope Challenge initiative. Visit www.csanfp.org or see me, Robert Frazier. Although this is not easy, I am thankful and blessed to have been given the vision of this mission from God. By the way, the one that we pledged to of allegiance at the beginning of this meeting, same God. With all of us working together, it'll be a great place to be. Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak is Brandon Durman. Mr. Durman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I'm addressing you on behalf of the Faith Coalition for the Common Good this evening, especially its Environmental Justice Task Force, and as part of its participation in the Coalition for Springfield's Utility Future, whom you've been hearing from recently about CWLP's environmental and legal issues. The Faith Coalition for the Common Good is a long-standing community organization in Springfield. We've met with most of you at one time or another, as we also do with Chief Scarlett and other officials and leaders in our city and our state. Faith Coalition is a member of the Coalition for Springfield's Utility Future because of the crucial role our utility plays in the lives of our constituents on the east side and all across the city. We think that role and your role as council members relates directly to our work, and that's why I'm here tonight. Faith Coalition for the Common Good's mission states that we are a coalition of faith communities, community organizations, and individuals working collaboratively for racial equity, civic engagement, a fair economy, and participatory decision-making. Why does that relate to CWLP and the council's oversight of it? I'm going to focus on the latter half of that: racial equity, civic engagement, fair economy, and participatory decision-making. In this society and in this city, racial inequities are often also spatial inequities. There's long-standing racialized social and economic inequality in our country and in our city. Some of that we can see on a map. And what that means is that the decisions this council makes for the city as a whole can affect different neighborhoods and communities very differently. The cost of utilities affects different neighborhoods and communities differently. A change in the cost of utilities does that as well. Those costs are important, but they're also only part of the picture that we need to keep our eyes on. The forms of energy we use in our city and the legacy they leave are also issues of racial equity. The tree cover and green space in Springfield is not equitably distributed, and because of that, the coal that we burn contributes to climate change that affects our neighborhoods and communities differently. The ash we pile up from our coal operation affects the folks next to it differently from those folks across town. We need to address these inequities. That's part of creating the fair economy that we mention in the mission. And it's also good for the city as a whole. Just like the wider country, the whole city suffers when some folks have to work harder or pay more of their scarcer resources to stay healthy, to get educated, and to stay cool. I'm here talking to you about this because of the two other terms I mentioned from the mission statement: civic engagement and participatory decision-making. We believe that engaging with public institutions like the City Council is vital, and that it has mattered in American government, even with the challenges you're aware of and hearing about. CWLP is a municipally owned and run utility, and that means we all have a responsibility for oversight and responsible long-range planning. Civic engagement and participatory decision-making are baked into this kind of institution. If you haven't driven down First Avenue just south of Ash in a little while, you might do that to remind yourself of the motto that's carved over the door of a small and beautiful brick building there. Right under City, Water, Light, and Power, it says, "The bounties of nature belong to the people." I think that captures what this is about pretty succinctly. There are skilled, hardworking people operating CWLP. Among them, our neighbors and our friends, but we need to set the goals for them, to define the goals for them that reflect the interests of the people as carved in that stone over the door there. And you are sitting in the seats where that begins. We're telling you that the common good demands a just and inclusive transition to a clean and equitable energy future for Springfield. You're the body that needs to ensure accountability of CWLP and other city assets, enable community participation, help achieve equity, and invest in healthy neighborhoods all over Springfield, for what we refer to as the common good. And a comprehensive, unbiased, and participatory integrated resource plan for CWLP, like we've been talking about earlier this evening, that's one of your best tools and easiest to reach to do that. Thank you.
And that's all we have signed up to speak. That's it.
Is that it?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.